Hello everyone, and welcome to Anime Dreams. I'm thrilled to have you here on the channel. Today, we're diving into an exciting fanfic scenario. What if Naruko never held back? How would the world of Naruto change if she unleashed her full potential without restraint? Quick disclaimer. This content is purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any of the anime footage used. Credit goes to the original creators and copyright holders. Now, let's explore this alternate path together. Let's begin. Naruko lay on the bed in Tazuna's home, quietly staring at the ceiling. Despite all the extra training she had taken on, seeking advice from every Jounin sensei available, she still hadn't been able to protect Haku or Zabuza. She had worn weights to boost her speed and endurance, started waking at dawn to stretch and warm up before meeting her team, practiced chakra control exercises like leaf sticking and tree walking, and studied a few basic jutsu. Still, she realized she needed to refine her taijutsu, train alongside her shadow clones more effectively, and perhaps learn a few new techniques to add to her arsenal. Kakashi was famous for having learned over 1,000 jutsu. Surely, he had one or two that might suit her style? The bell test had been a wake-up call. It was the first time Naruko truly felt how much she still had to grow. She had given it her all, yet Kakashi had outmatched her easily. She felt powerless, and she never wanted to experience that feeling again. Naruko knew she had grown stronger since then, but strength alone wasn't enough. There would always be someone more skilled. That's why she resolved to train harder than ever, harder than anyone else her age, and she wouldn't give up. But for that, she needed guidance. With newfound determination, Naruko got up and stepped outside to search for Kakashi. She didn't have to look far. He stood leaning against a tree, as usual, reading one of his books. "Kakashi-sensei?" Naruko called softly. "What is it, Naruko?" He replied, his tone calm and slightly distant. I'm not strong enough. I want to get stronger," Naruko admitted earnestly. "Have you been training?" Kakashi asked. "Not hard enough. I want to be strong enough to protect those I care about. I need to improve in taijutsu, ninjutsu, chakra control, everything. I need your help," she said, her voice full of resolve. "You're asking for a lot. You want me to teach you everything?" he asked, raising a brow. "No," Naruko shook her head. "I just need guidance. If you give me the tools, I'll take it from there. I promise I'll make you proud, sensei." Kakashi studied her expression and finally nodded. "Very well. If you're truly serious, I have a few things that might help." He pulled out 2 scrolls and a small piece of paper from his pouch. "What are these for, Kakashi-sensei?" Naruko asked curiously. "The first scroll contains a taijutsu style I found a while ago. It's based on unpredictable and unconventional movements. Most shinobi find it difficult because they tend to follow predictable patterns, but someone with your natural spontaneity could thrive with it," Kakashi explained. Naruko's eyes lit up. "So it fits with who I am. Could I use it with my clones? They're my most reliable support right now." "That's exactly why I think this style suits you," Kakashi replied. "It evolves as you do. The basics remain constant, but the advanced techniques are meant to adapt to your personal skills." Naruko hugged the scroll to her chest. "That's perfect. I can keep refining it with my clones and whatever jutsu I learn." The second scroll contains chakra control exercises, plus routines for speed and strength training, Kakashi continued. "You'll need to complete the chakra control portion before moving forward." Naruko nodded eagerly. "What about the paper?" "That's chakra paper," he said, handing it to her. "It'll show your elemental nature when you channel your chakra into it." Naruko held the paper and focused her chakra. It split cleanly down the middle before crumbling into fine shreds, causing Kakashi's eye to widen slightly, though he quickly masked his surprise. "So, what's my nature affinity?" she asked. "What do you think?" he countered. Naruko thought for a moment. "It can't be fire, it would have burned the paper. Water would have soaked it. Earth is too solid and steady. Not really my style. So, it's either wind or lightning? And your guess?" "I'd say wind. It's strong, free-flowing, and sharp, yet it can be focused when needed." Kakashi smiled behind his mask. "A sound deduction, Naruko. Looks like you're ready to take this seriously." Naruko lowered her voice slightly. "Haku's loss. It affected me more than I thought it would. I've been dreaming of being the best, but I didn't realize how much work it truly takes. I want to give my all now." "You don't have to train every hour of every day. Even ninja deserve time to relax. Just finish your chakra control exercises by the end of the week. When we return, I'll ask Asuma to help with the elemental training, Kakashi said. Thanks, Kakashi-sensei. It means a lot that you treat me with kindness. You carry a responsibility most wouldn't understand. The fourth Hokage believed in you, and now, I do too. You're his legacy, Naruko, and I'm proud to see how far you've come. Those words struck a deep chord. Naruko finally understood the importance of her role. She had access to a vast chakra source. If she could master it, she could become a true protector of the village. The fourth had trusted her, and she would honor that trust. I'll make him proud, sensei. I'll protect the village with everything I have. If I have a week to master the exercises, I'll do it in 3 days. Kakashi watched her dash into the forest with determination blazing in her eyes. For the first time, he felt genuine pride in someone on his team. Sasuke was still focused only on his own path, his progress slow and often clouded by emotion. Sakura hadn't engaged much since the last battle, she hadn't even asked for training advice. Her concern had been solely for the unconscious Sasuke. But Naruko had grown more than anyone else. Since the bell test, she had trained relentlessly. Her speed was nearing Sasuke's, and her strength had already surpassed his. Kakashi had noticed the chakra weights she wore. If they increased as her body adjusted, and with her rapid recovery ability, she was likely doubling their load weekly. Give her 2 months, and she could be ready for the Chunin exams, not just physically, but mentally as well. The three of them might pass the first 2 phases together, but only Naruko had the potential to truly shine. Sensei would be proud of her, Kakashi thought, returning to his book with a small chuckle. Meanwhile, Naruko found a clearing near a quiet pond in the forest. She opened the scroll and began her chakra control exercises. The first task, water walking. It says I need to maintain a constant flow of chakra to stay above the surface, she murmured to herself. She took a step onto the pond's surface. Feels solid, but as she stepped again, she sank slightly. Okay, maybe not yet. This'll take some work. With steady resolve, she began practicing. For hours she repeated the motion, refining her chakra flow. Later, she moved on to the taijutsu scroll, practicing basic movements and using her clones to run through forms. That's when she made a discovery. One of her clones leapt across the pond, landed, and balanced on the water for nearly a full minute before dispersing. Naruko suddenly felt all the sensations and insights the clone experienced. Something clicked. Thanks to the shared feedback, she herself managed to stay atop the water for 3 minutes straight. Encouraged, she made her way back to Tazuna's house. She was welcomed by warm smiles from Tazuna, Tsunami, Inari, and even Kakashi seemed pleased. Sakura, however, looked tense. Naruko took a deep breath. Tomorrow would be another step forward. Where have you been, Naruko? Sakura exclaimed as she ran up and gave her a light hit on the forehead, not hard enough to hurt, but clearly to express her frustration. Why is she always so quick to get upset with me? Naruko wondered, feeling drained as she slowly stood up. For a moment, she looked at Sakura with a brief expression of frustration. It was unlike her, and Sakura paused, surprised by the seriousness in Naruko's eyes. Just as quickly as it came, the expression faded, and Naruko sat down quietly. She thanked Tsunami politely when a plate of food was set in front of her and began eating. Afterward, she expressed gratitude for the meal and wished everyone a good night before heading off to bed. The next morning, Naruko was in a quiet clearing working on her chakra control. She was climbing trees while carrying a weighted boulder on her back, all while her shadow clones practiced water walking nearby and occasionally threw dulled kunai to challenge her concentration. She figured the training would help with her overall balance, precision, strength, and endurance. After about an hour, Naruko slipped slightly and decided it was time for a break. During her walk, she stumbled upon a hidden cave entrance, mostly covered by rocks and brush. Summoning a few clones to investigate first, she waited outside. Once the clones confirmed there were no traps, she stepped inside. The cave was filled with an assortment of unusual weapons. They weren't made from steel or iron, something about their materials and the presence of sealing marks made them seem extraordinary. One pair of black crescent-shaped trench knives caught her attention. The curved blades were elegant, with guards that curved over the knuckles for protection, slightly longer than regular kunai. As Naruko reached for them, she felt a sudden, intense burning sensation on her wrist, causing her to drop to her knees. She clutched her arm in discomfort, and after a few moments, the sensation faded. When she looked at her wrist, a tattoo had appeared. It was the kanji for Kazekage, meaning wind shadow. What did these blades have to do with the wind village? She wondered, looking back at the wall, only to see that all the weapons had vanished. The cave itself began to fade, and soon, it was as if it had never been there at all. Confused but aware of the mark on her wrist, Naruko returned to finish her water walking practice, deciding not to dwell too much on the strange event, though the tattoo was clear proof that it had truly happened. That night, she returned to the house more exhausted than usual. Kakashi noticed her fatigue and checked on her. He found her sitting on the bed, studying the symbol on her wrist. "So, Naruko, mind explaining how that appeared?" Kakashi asked gently, surprising her. I'm not sure, sensei. I found it in a cave that's no longer there," she replied quietly. "Can you explain a little more?" Naruko described everything, finding the cave, the weapons, the pain from touching the knives, and how everything vanished afterward. "It sounds like the blades were sealed into you," Kakashi concluded. "Try channeling chakra into the tattoo. Maybe you can summon them." With some focus, Naruko followed his advice. A puff of smoke appeared, and in her hands were the same crescent knives she had found. The weapons shimmered faintly with chakra. "Interesting. May I see one?" Kakashi asked. Naruko handed over one of the knives. As soon as he held it, tendrils of energy extended from the blade and briefly wrapped around his wrist. Kakashi winced, feeling a drain on his chakra. With effort, he handed it back. "It seems the blades are attuned to you, Naruko. They react to others strongly. These weapons are unique, you'll need to discover their full abilities through careful practice." Naruko nodded, excited despite her fatigue. "Well, at least I finished water walking last night." Kakashi raised an eyebrow. "You completed that already? That's excellent work, Naruko. You're progressing faster than expected. But I'll supervise your training with these blades. We need to be careful." "Why not use a shadow clone to help me train?" Naruko asked. Kakashi smiled. "Smart. You've figured out the benefit of clones sharing experience. Not everyone learns that on their own." He turned to leave. Sasuke woke up earlier. He's asking questions about what happened during the fight. "When will she be fully recovered?" Naruko asked. "By the end of the mission, most likely. Tomorrow, I'll send a clone to work with you on the blades." "Thanks, sensei," Naruko said as she laid down and drifted off to sleep. The next morning, Naruko was up early, working through a routine she designed herself. Today's version didn't include the boulder, but the clones were being more challenging than before with their throws. She ran into Sasuke during breakfast. "Hey! Feeling better?" Naruko greeted. "A little. Not that it matters to you," Sasuke replied, slightly teasing. "Well, I need a sparring partner, so I hope you recover soon," Naruko said cheerfully. Sasuke scoffed playfully. "Whatever style you've picked up won't help you beat me." "Whatever helps you stay confident," Naruko said smoothly. Sakura added her opinion loudly. Sasuke could win with both hands tied behind her back. "Really? How would you know, Sakura? You know the basics from the academy, but not much else." "I'm curious what makes you the expert," Naruko responded calmly. Sakura went quiet, while Sasuke gave Naruko a thoughtful glance. Something had changed about her, and she seemed stronger. Naruko left for training, dodging kunai thrown by her clones on the way to the clearing where she was to meet Kakashi. There, she had the clones begin water walking while she practiced some movements with her blades. Kakashi arrived and observed her silently. "Okay," he said. "Let's run some tests. Start by summoning your blades." Naruko unsealed the weapons and held them with a confident stance. "They're similar to kunai in form. If you're interested, I can introduce you to Asuma Sarutobi when we return. She's an expert in that style," Kakashi suggested. "I'd like that, but I think I can learn a lot from you too, sensei," Naruko replied. "I wonder if I can still create clones while holding these." "Give it a try," Kakashi said with interest. Naruko nodded and began the hand sign for the shadow clone technique, ready to explore what else her new tools, and her growing skills, might unlock. Naruko formed a unique hand sign to initiate the shadow clone technique, concentrating deeply as she channeled chakra into the jutsu. At first, nothing seemed to happen, but she maintained the seal with determination. Slowly, her shadow began to shift and split in two, rising gradually from the ground. The figures continued to grow until they matched Naruko's height, their forms gradually becoming clearer. Before long, both shapes transformed to look exactly like Naruko, mirror images of her, standing silently by her side. Breathing heavily from the effort, Naruko stared in amazement. She had done it, these were actual shadow clones. Kakashi watched with interest. "Impressive. It looks like you've managed to create clones directly from your shadow. This reminds me of a style used by the Nara clan, but this particular method is something I've never seen before. This might be one of the most amazing techniques I've ever learned, Naruko said excitedly. I wonder how durable they are, or if they're more suited for reconnaissance. Maybe they can blend into shadows to hide. As Naruko examined the unmoving clones, she noticed something unusual. While standing in front of one of them, she realized she could see herself, and even Kakashi-sensei, from the perspectives of both clones. The effect was similar to a shared vision, though more limited in scope. Sensei. I can see through their eyes. Does this mean I have to guide them the way I guide myself? She asked curiously as Kakashi stepped closer to observe. This is a fascinating discovery, Naruko. Try focusing on just one of the clones. See if you can move it, Kakashi instructed. Naruko closed her eyes and directed her attention toward the clone nearest Kakashi. After a moment, the clone blinked and began to move. Naruko tilted her head slightly. This feels strange, she said as she experimented with its movements. She practiced a few simple moves, like shadow punches, when suddenly she felt a jolt in her midsection. She looked down in surprise to see a kunai embedded in the clone, but instead of any visible injury, the kunai gently slid out on its own. In its place, dark wisps of energy wrapped around the area, quickly smoothing it over as if nothing had happened. Kakashi nodded thoughtfully. Your clones seem quite resilient. I wonder, though, how much they can endure. Before Naruko could respond, Kakashi swiftly performed a fire-style technique, sending a controlled burst of flame toward the clone. The clone was surrounded in light, and when it faded, it appeared to be gone, only a faint shadow remained on the ground. It seems they do have a threshold, Kakashi commented. Not exactly, Sensei, said the remaining clone with a calm voice, pointing to the shadow. Slowly, the shape began to rise again, reforming piece by piece into Naruko's image. After a few moments, the figures fully formed and began to move. This time, both of them did so in unison. So, you figured out how to control both at once? Kakashi asked, raising an eyebrow in interest. Yep. Turns out there was a mental barrier for each one that I had to overcome, one clone explained cheerfully. Once that's done, controlling them becomes really simple, added the other. Think of it like moving your arms, Sensei, said the original Naruko as she stood and opened her eyes. Kakashi felt a deep sense of pride toward his student. Naruko had uncovered a technique with incredible potential. Realistically, she could carry out missions solo using her clones, and no one would even notice a difference if they transformed to match others. This ability could be used in battle, for training, or reconnaissance. I wonder if she can use this without needing the blades? Dispel your clones and put away the blades, Kakashi instructed. Now, I want you to try forming them without holding the knives. Okay, Sensei, Naruko replied as she sealed away her blades and performed the hand sign for Shadow Clone Jutsu. Focusing her chakra, she worked carefully to recreate the same effect. Slowly, two shadowy figures emerged and took shape, forming copies of Naruko, but unlike before, they didn't change color. Naruko dropped to one knee, breathing heavily from the effort. Creating just two partially formed clones had consumed nearly 2/3 of her chakra. It looks like the blades help you channel what appears to be shadow-based chakra more easily, Kakashi noted thoughtfully. Let's test your affinity again. He handed her a chakra paper. Naruko channeled energy into it, and it darkened entirely, turning as black as night. Does this mean, with enough control, I might be able to create techniques no one's ever seen before? She asked with wide eyes. Well, the Nara clan specializes in shadow techniques, Kakashi said. You might be able to adapt some of their methods, though you'd need permission to learn them. But I believe you can go beyond what they've done. Is this like a special ability? Naruko asked curiously. Not quite a bloodline. You'll understand more as you grow, Kakashi answered with a smile. Well, time to get back to training then, Naruko said enthusiastically, summoning her blades again and creating two more clones. She then dispelled the earlier versions. Before you begin, Kakashi said, handing her a scroll, here's a jutsu I think will suit your style really well. Wow! This is perfect, Sensei, Naruko exclaimed excitedly. I thought you'd like it. Now, I'm going to find Sasuke and Sakura to teach them water walking. I have to make sure they're ready for what's ahead, Kakashi said as he walked off. Naruko created regular shadow clones to study the scroll, while she sparred with the two special clones she had made using her blades. As a group of 20 standard clones rushed the trio, she ducked under a strike, one her new clone had sensed in advance. This is amazing. It's like having extra sets of eyes. Naruko thought as she turned and tagged the approaching clone with a gentle hit. I just need better synchronization. There's still a slight delay between my thoughts and their reactions. If not for their ability to repair themselves, they'd vanish too quickly. One of her clones managed to disarm her of a blade. It landed in the ground, pinning the shadow of another clone. To her surprise, that clone froze in place, though its eyes still moved. Naruko carefully walked over, pulled the blade from the shadow, and instantly, the clone was free again. So, if a blade pins an opponent's shadow, it stops them from moving? That's really interesting. I should give these techniques names. Maybe Cage Richi for the energy drain, Cage Torapu for the shadow binding, and Cage Tamashiincho for these body extensions. Yeah, that fits. Excited by the possibilities, Naruko sat down to think, her clones gathering around her. The next 5 hours were spent training, improving control, refining taijutsu, and mastering the new technique with the help of the scroll Kakashi had provided. By the week's end, the team was preparing to depart. Inari hugged Naruko tightly, not wanting her to leave, while Kakashi spoke with Tazuna and Sakura kept hovering around Sasuke. Don't worry, Inari. I'll visit again someday, Naruko said, kneeling to reassure him. Besides, I'm sure the Hidden Leaf could use someone as wise as your grandfather. I know. But without you, we might still be under that awful rule. Inari's eyes welled up. Hey, what did I say about tears? Naruko smiled gently. They're happy tears, Inari laughed, rubbing his eyes. Sure they are. Stay strong, little hero, Naruko said warmly before joining her team. Just then, Sasuke noticed a new tattoo on Naruko's arm. Where did that come from? He asked. You say something? Naruko replied casually. Kakashi sneezed mid-conversation with Tazuna. I demand to know where you got that tattoo. Sasuke repeated as Sakura finally caught sight of it too. Yeah. Do you think you're better than Sasuke now or something? Sakura said sharply. Naruko calmly turned toward Sasuke. You don't get to demand things from me. Maybe try being respectful instead of acting like everyone owes you something. Sasuke's eyes narrowed as he activated his Sharingan, but before things could escalate, he felt something cool and metallic near his neck. If this had been real, you would have been out of the match, Naruko said, as a clone gently withdrew the practice blade and stepped back. Fortunately, Kakashi arrived just in time, smiling under his mask. Well, team, time to head home, he said cheerfully. It's about time, Sasuke muttered, still annoyed. Cha! I can't wait to get back, Sakura said, practically shouting. Naruko winced at the volume. Hard to believe I ever had a crush on her, she thought. Take care, Tazuna, Inari, and Tsunami. I'll miss you all. If you ever come to Konoha, be sure to look me up. Naruko called out cheerfully as her team leapt into the trees. What had taken 2 days with civilians now took only a few hours at shinobi speed. Naruko noticed that Sasuke was breathing a little heavily, while Sakura looked visibly tired and was perspiring heavily. Even though she was wearing training weights, Naruko felt completely fine. Still not enough. This pace is barely a warm-up for someone like Kakashi-sensei, she thought. I can't wait to get back home, she said suddenly. HN. You're always excited about something, Sasuke replied with some effort in her voice. I'm just saying. Now that this was an A-rank mission, I should be able to afford new gear, kunai, shuriken, wire, and maybe some new clothes. I'm kind of over this orange jumpsuit. I want something in black. Naruko grinned, surprising her teammates. I thought orange was her favorite color? Both Sasuke and Sakura wondered silently. As they reached the gates of Konoha, 2 Chunin guards nodded in greeting. Kakashi stepped forward with a calm smile. Team 7, returning after successful completion of a mission to the Land of Waves, Kakashi said as he handed over the mission documentation. The guards stepped aside and let them in. First, we'll report to the Hokage. After that, you all get a week off from team training, Kakashi informed them as they made their way toward the Hokage Tower. Just like with the bell test. He said there won't be team training, but that doesn't mean we can't train individually or ask for help, Naruko thought as they continued. On the way, they crossed paths with Team 8, who had also just returned from a mission. Hey Hinata, Kiba, Shino. Naruko greeted them with a bright smile. Yo, Naruko. Kiba replied enthusiastically, happy to see her. Arf. Barked Akamaru as he peeked out from Kiba's hood. Hi to you too, Akamaru, Naruko giggled. Shino gave a polite nod. Hinata's face flushed bright red as she answered quietly, Hi, and Naruko-chan. It's okay, Hinata. I'm not going to hurt you or anything. You don't need to be nervous talking to me, Naruko said encouragingly. And not nervous, Hinata replied, her voice just a bit steadier. Good. I'd hate for someone as sweet as you to be nervous around me. Naruko replied with a grin, oblivious to the effect of her words. Hinata's face turned a deeper shade of red and she fainted gently on the spot. Hinata, Naruko exclaimed, eyes wide as the rest of the group looked on, a little bewildered. Don't worry, Naruko. She does that sometimes, said Kurenai Yuhi, stepping forward with a small smile. I'm her sensei. Nice to meet you, ma'am, Naruko said politely as she shook her hand. At that moment, they were called into the Hokage's office. Ah, Team 8. Good to see you. And Team 7. So, how was your first C-rank mission? The Hokage asked, surprising Team 8. It was great, Gigi. But we did run into a few complications, Naruko admitted. I can explain, Kakashi said. We encountered 4 enemy shinobi. 2 were at Chunin level, 1 of unknown rank, and 1 was a Jonin level opponent named Zabuza. The Hokage's eyes widened, and Kurenai gasped softly. That means the mission was A rank in difficulty, at least. The Hokage said. Yes. The client compensated accordingly once the bridge was completed, Kakashi affirmed. And how did your team perform? The Hokage asked. Exceptionally well, Kakashi replied. However, there are some matters regarding Naruko that we need to discuss privately. What? Why her? Sasuke blurted out. I'm the Uchiha, shouldn't you be talking about me? Sasuke, I suggest you stay respectful, the Hokage said firmly. Kakashi, please continue. After Team 8 was given their next assignment, only Kakashi, Naruko, and the Hokage remained in the room. So, what should I know? The Hokage asked. I briefly accessed the Nine Tails chakra during my battle with Haku, Naruko said. Are you feeling any different? The Hokage asked with concern. Not at all, Gigi. Actually, I feel even better. Naruko replied brightly. That brings us to something else, Hokage-sama, Kakashi added. Naruko discovered a weapon while we were in the Land of Waves. Naruko unsealed 2 sleek trench knives and placed them on the table. Where did you find these, Naruko? The Hokage asked, curiously examining the weapons. Well, Naruko began, then proceeded to explain the mysterious cave and how she came across the blades. I see this is certainly a mysterious find, but what I want to know is whether these knives have any unique properties, asked the Hokage. Well, when we tested them, we discovered that Naruko's blades have the ability to absorb chakra and create distinct types of clones, Kakashi explained. Yep. I call them Kage Richi and Kage Tamashi and Cho. All their abilities seem to be shadow-based, and based on what Kakashi said about my chakra nature, it looks like shadow is now my secondary element, said Naruko with enthusiasm. That's quite impressive. May I ask what your primary chakra affinity is, Naruko? Inquired the Hokage. With help from my sensei, we figured out that I have a strong natural affinity for wind-style techniques. So now I plan to find Asuma and ask if he can help me begin training in wind chakra control, Naruko responded eagerly. That sounds like a good plan, Naruko. You should go now, Kakashi and I have some matters to discuss, said the Hokage as Naruko exited to gather her new gear. I thought it was clear that no student should receive special treatment, Kakashi? She has learned significantly more than the others, the Hokage observed. She's the only one actively seeking guidance. Naruko doesn't expect everything to be handed to her, she just asks for help in learning how to grow. A few examples, a bit of direction, much like her parent once gave me. The others aren't as eager to improve, said Kakashi thoughtfully. Sakura is still focused on admiration rather than progress, and when encouraged to train harder, she ignores the advice. Sasuke, meanwhile, insists on learning every technique I know now that she's awakened her Sharingan, said Kakashi, clearly concerned. Do you still want to lead this team? Asked the Hokage. I'm entering them into the Chunin exams. If Sakura and Sasuke don't adjust their attitudes by then, I'll have to release them and instead focus on mentoring Naruko, Kakashi replied. Very well, Kakashi. I trust your judgment. Now, about Naruko's shadow chakra, does it resemble the Nara clan's techniques? The Hokage asked. It's denser and requires careful control. Without her blades, Naruko tends to release too much chakra. With them, however, she manages it much more precisely, explained Kakashi. I may ask Shikaku to consider sharing a few techniques, if he believes Naruko is capable of learning them, the Hokage mused. Is that all, sir? Kakashi asked. Yes, you're dismissed, the Hokage replied. Meanwhile, Naruko browsed through a shinobi shop in Konoha, selecting her new outfit. She chose black tactical pants, a matching jacket with crimson accents, and a chain mesh shirt underneath. The jacket had space for hidden kunai, and her legs were equipped with holsters for both kunai and shuriken. The new look suited her well. With a few hours still left in the day, she decided to find Asuma Sarutobi and begin wind chakra training. She summoned 20 shadow clones and sent them to various training grounds to search for the Jounin. One of her clones soon located Team 10 training at Ground 10. Naruko arrived quickly and observed the team practicing a coordinated maneuver. As they paused for a break, Shikamaru glanced toward her location and then, unexpectedly, threw a kunai in her direction. Naruko tilted her head to avoid it. I know you're there. Show yourself or we'll assume you're here for a challenge. He called out, with his teammates ready beside him. Naruko saw Asuma in the background, smiling knowingly. He must have recognized her chakra signature, after all, she had asked for his help after the bell test. This might be a great training opportunity, she thought, using a transformation technique to disguise her appearance: brown hair, no whisker marks, a light facial scar, and her forehead protector hidden away. Time for a little fun, she mused, as she leapt down in front of them. So, the little shinobi wanna play? She said in a mischievous voice, wearing a playful smirk. Who are you, and what are you doing in Konoha? Asked Shikamaru seriously. Just a traveler, and my reasons are my own, she replied with a shrug. I'll ask once more. Who are you, and what brings you here? He repeated firmly. I'll tell you, if you can defeat me in a spar. If not, then your sensei owes me a favor, Naruko challenged with a glint in her eye. Before the team could reply, Asuma casually agreed from behind them. Naruko smiled. Now it was time to test their skills. Let's get started. She called out, leaping back and launching 3 kunai. The team dodged swiftly and charged. Kuji led the charge, with Shikamaru behind. Naruko jumped past the shadow that was closing in and met Kuji up front. She dodged his swing, tapped his side gently to unbalance him, spun to avoid Ino's punch, and guided her into a soft fall with a smooth motion. She then turned toward Shikamaru. Thanks to her improved speed, she reached him quickly, aiming a light tap, but Shikamaru rolled aside. She redirected her energy and tried a quick kick, which Shikamaru ducked under. He sent a leg sweep her way, but she flipped over it and moved as if to strike, only to redirect her momentum at the last second with a light tap to his side. As Shikamaru shifted away, Kuji stepped in to intercept. Naruko hopped back just as Ino launched several projectiles, which she parried while maintaining distance. Kuji, now! Called Shikamaru. Kuji spun forward, executing a rolling maneuver. Naruko stepped aside, attempting to move in on Ino and Shikamaru, but Kuji quickly returned to defend them. This time, Ino provided backup by throwing kunai to limit Naruko's movement. Eventually, Naruko got around Kuji and moved in toward Ino. She lifted her arm for a dramatic feint but suddenly found herself frozen in place. She glanced down, Shikamaru's shadow had reached her. So that's how their technique works, Naruko thought, impressed. Shikamaru stood tall as Ino and Kuji moved to surround her. Now, tell us, who are you and why are you here? Asked Shikamaru. Who said I lost? Naruko said playfully as her body glowed brightly. This is just a spark of creativity. As the glowing clone vanished in a gentle flash, Team 10 ducked behind trees. When they looked up, each one found a clone standing beside them, kunai poised gently near their shoulders, not threatening, but clearly indicating their awareness. It looks like I win this round, came a calm voice. Asuma approached with a smile. So, now that you've outplayed my team, what's next? You'll be teaching me the foundations of wind chakra training, said the disguised shinobi brightly. You can drop the disguise now, Naruko, said Asuma. The clones disappeared in puffs of smoke, and the real Naruko stepped out with a cheerful grin. Team 10 was stunned, it had been Naruko all along. I can't believe we lost to Naruko, Ino said in disbelief. So, Asuma-sensei, would you mind teaching me the first step? Naruko asked hopefully. Naruko. You could have warned us. I really thought I was in serious trouble, Ino exclaimed. Naruko giggled. It was just a friendly spar, I promise. My troublesome teammate is right, why didn't you just come out? We didn't need to go through that troublesome fight, said Shikamaru as he observed the blonde. Yeah, I mean it's good to see you, but why do that to us? Asked Kuji. Hee, sorry guys. I just thought it would be a good exercise. I didn't mean to hurt any of you, replied Naruko, grinning at them. Shikamaru was still trying to figure out how the blonde had gotten so strong. This isn't the same Naruko as before. I have to throw everything I know about her out of my mind. Well, sensei? He asked hopefully. We did have a deal after all, said Asuma, taking out a scroll and tossing it to Naruko. Naruko looked at it for a moment before glancing at Asuma. I only asked for the first part. You didn't have to give me all of this, she said. Consider it a gift for completing your first A-rank mission, Asuma said, to the surprise of his team. Thanks, sensei, Naruko said as she left to find a place to train. Did we just get beat by Naruko? Ino asked, realizing that the once considered dead last had just outperformed them. Troublesome blondes. Shikamaru muttered. Naruko made it to Training Ground 7 and began reading the scroll. So I have to cut a leaf using wind chakra? Sounds easy, but I know it's going to be hard, she thought as she created 50 clones to start the exercise. 2 weeks later, after a week of team exercises and conditioning, the past week had been difficult for several reasons. First, Sasuke had started noticing how much stronger Naruko was becoming. Really strong. She was catching up to him in runs, lifting more, and even outlasting him in chakra exercises. This frustrated Naruko, as Sasuke kept demanding that she teach him what she knew, while Sakura supported him constantly. Second, Sakura wasn't improving and was holding the team back. Then there were the civilians who continued to treat her poorly, but, thankfully they couldn't do anything since she was now a shinobi. There were some positives though, like completing the first 2 stages of elemental manipulation that Asuma had given her, as well as learning 2 new C-rank jutsu. She had also mastered a powerful technique for her trench knives. She was saving it for the Chunin exams, but it was quick and powerful, or she would use it against a strong opponent. Naruko had quickly learned a fighting style using her trench knives since it was similar to using kunai. She rarely showed them, though, and never in the presence of Sasuke or Sakura. Right now, Team 7 was headed to the Hokage's office to receive another mission before the Chunin exam in 2 weeks. Kakashi had already informed them they would be participating in it. When they entered the Hokage's office, they found Team 8 standing at attention, waiting for orders. The Hokage smiled at them as they entered. Ah, Team 7, just the people I was looking for. You will be accompanying Team 8 on a mission to eliminate a group of bandits that have camped by the border of the Fire Country. Kakashi will lead the mission with Kurenai as second in command. Kakashi and Kurenai, I'd like your input on who should lead the mission if the 2 of you are incapacitated, the Hokage asked. Kakashi and Kurenai spoke for a while, ensuring that the others couldn't hear them. I know you will suggest Sasuke as team leader, but I believe Shino will make a better leader since he is more logical and won't make rash decisions, Kurenai said. Well, I actually believe Naruko should lead the team, Kakashi said, surprising her. What? But she was the dead last at the academy. She doesn't think things through and would be a bad leader, Kurenai argued. She is more than capable of being a team leader. She is the strongest Jonin on my team. Time and time again, she has shown that she has grown up and become more than capable of leading the team, Kakashi stated. If you believe her to be ready, I will follow your judgment, Kurenai said as they walked back to where the teams were. Just as they were about to speak, Sasuke cut in. I accept being the leader of the team for this mission, Sensei, he said smugly. Actually, we've chosen Naruko to lead the Jonin on this trip, Kakashi said, causing Sasuke to look outraged, Sakura to look affronted, Team 8 to look surprised, and Naruko to remain unfazed. Sensei, I don't believe I deserve this role as leader, Naruko stated. Yeah, why does the Dobi lead this mission? If it should be anyone, it should be me, an Uchiha elite, Sasuke demanded angrily. That's not the reason, Sensei. I believe it should be Shino who should lead this mission, Naruko said, surprising everyone once again. And that's exactly why you're leading the mission. You're capable of making decisions that will benefit the team as a whole, Kakashi explained. Meanwhile, Sasuke's frustration grew. He believed it should have been him, the Uchiha elite, leading this mission. He needed to become stronger to achieve his goal, but Naruko kept getting in his way. Destroy the camp. That is the mission, understood? The Hokage asked. Hi. They all responded. They all gathered at the East Gate an hour after the meeting. Okay, teams, do you have everything you need for the mission? This should only be a 3-day mission. We'll be in and out as quickly as we can, Kakashi said, giving a brief yet reassuring glance. Hi. The Genin responded as they set off on their way. Team 7 led the group, with Team 8 following closely behind. Hinata had her Byakugan activated, scanning the surroundings, while Naruko had clones strategically scattered around the area. Soon, they would all face their first real challenge and prove themselves as true shinobi. Are you sure about the teams, Kakashi? Asked Kurenai from their position on a cliff above the bandit camp. I'm confident. They need to work with others in different teams if they want to gain the experience they need, Kakashi replied as he waited for the teams to report in. It had been decided that Shino and Sakura would prevent anyone from escaping the camp, should they manage to get past the 3 teams attacking the camp. The teams were Kurenai and Kakashi, Sasuke and Kiba, and Naruko and Hinata. Kurenai had some reservations about the Naruko and Hinata pairing. Naruko had been the last in her class at the academy, and Hinata, while kind-hearted, was often too shy to fight back. However, what Kurenai didn't know was that Naruko had made tremendous progress in the past 2 months. She had reached a level comparable to that of a mid-level Chonin and was quickly becoming one of the strongest genin. Naruko's mind had become sharp and strategic, and she was capable of adapting to any role required. Her presence also seemed to command attention wherever she went. She had a big heart and would risk everything for her friends and comrades, always pushing forward even when faced with overwhelming odds. Kakashi understood that if anyone could work well with the quiet and reserved Hinata, it was Naruko. She knew that Hinata had a quiet affection for her, but Naruko also recognized the quiet strength that Hinata possessed. If Naruko were in danger, Hinata would step forward without hesitation, despite her shyness. Kakashi was more concerned about Sasuke and Kiba. Both were headstrong and often competed to outdo each other, especially in situations involving danger. Is everyone ready? Kakashi asked through the radio. I still don't know why I was placed with Shino, Sakura grumbled, crouching a few hundred yards from the camp. Focus, Sakura, Shino replied, unaffected by her words. You never know what can go wrong. Why? Sasuke can handle all the bandits by himself. He's the strongest ninja of our generation. Sakura proclaimed loudly. I'm not so sure about that, Shino said. There are at least 4 genin who could defeat him in combat. Yeah, right. Sasuke is the greatest. Sakura argued. Is everyone ready? Kakashi's voice came through again. I don't know why they put you with me. I don't need help with a few bandits, Sasuke said, clearly annoyed. You think you're the best, but I'll beat you to taking down more bandits by the end of this, Kiba declared, glaring at Sasuke. You've got a deal, mutt, Sasuke responded, the two locking eyes. Although, I think Naruko would give me more of a challenge than you, Sasuke added, a sly smile on his face, as Kiba growled in response. Is everyone ready? Kakashi asked once more. Hinata's eyes lingered on Naruko. She had changed so much in the past couple of months, but there was still something about her that remained the same. The sparkle in her eyes and the warmth of her smile could brighten anyone's day. On the surface, Naruko was calm and collected now, a stark contrast to the loud and brash individual she had once been. But despite the change, Hinata still liked her just as much as before, if not more. She could tell Naruko was ready for the mission, her sharp focus and preparedness apparent. Hinata, on the other hand, was nervous and fidgeting, worried she would let Naruko down and cause her to get hurt. Naruko seemed to sense her distress and turned to her with a concerned look in her eyes. Hinata, are you okay? Naruko asked softly. And Naruko, I'm okay, Hinata stammered, though her eyes betrayed her. You're not okay, Hinata. You're scared, Naruko said plainly, her words making Hinata gasp. Hinata's eyes welled with tears, fearing that Naruko would think she was weak. But before she could say anything, she felt Naruko's hand gently rest on her shoulder. It's okay, Hinata. I'm scared too. It's not easy, facing these missions. But as long as we focus on what's important, we'll be fine, Naruko said with a comforting smile. But I've never hurt anyone before. I'm afraid I'll let you down, Hinata said, voice quivering. I felt the same way when I first started missions like this. I felt weak and useless, but I got stronger so I could protect my friends, Naruko explained. But you won't fail me, Hinata. As long as we're fighting to protect others, we'll never be weak. Hinata's heart soared as Naruko spoke. Did that mean she was one of Naruko's special people? She could hardly believe it. When we get into the camp, I'll be right there, watching your back. And you'll have mine. I trust you, Hinata. Do you trust me? Naruko asked with a confident smile. Hinata stared into Naruko's eyes, feeling a sense of warmth and confidence spread through her. Yes, Naruko. I trust you with my life, she replied firmly. Good. Naruko grinned, and then they heard Kakashi's voice over the radio. Is everyone ready? Pink and Bug in position. Sakura's voice rang through. K9 and Flame in position. Kiba responded. Lavender and Fox ready for phase 1. Hinata's voice came through, surprisingly confident. She didn't stutter at all. Kurenai remarked in surprise. I knew she would break that stutter soon enough, Kakashi said with a knowing look. You knew this would happen? Kurenai asked, surprised. Of course. Naruko has a way of making the impossible seem easy, Kakashi replied. I'll have to thank her after this mission, Kurenai said. Let's begin phase 1. Fox. Kakashi ordered. Here we go, Naruko exclaimed, her focus sharp. She created 30 shadow clones, each transforming into rocks or animals. They rushed into the camp, catching the bandits by surprise. The clones quickly neutralized the outer guards, but their actions alerted the rest of the camp, sparking a fierce battle. After a minute, the clones began glowing. Hinata, remember, art is an explosion. Katsu, Naruko shouted, and 18 explosive clones detonated simultaneously, destroying the palisade wall and incapacitating about 40 bandits. Begin phase 2. Came Kakashi's voice, and the real action began. Naruko and Hinata fought side by side, their teamwork flawless. Naruko's clones worked alongside Hinata to keep her safe while taking down bandits with swift precision. Sasuke and Kiba were locked in their own battles, each eager to prove their strength. Sasuke unleashed a massive fireball, easily defeating several bandits, while Kiba and Akamaru tore through their opponents with remarkable speed. Shino and Sakura stayed in position, awaiting any bandits who managed to break through. But as they watched the battle unfold, they were ambushed by 4 enemy shinobi. A tense moment followed as the enemy began to size up their opponents. It did good enough. Hinata, stay behind me and look for an opening. Shadow Clone Jutsu, yelled Naruko as 5 clones surrounded her, charging towards the ninja with Hinata following closely behind. You're pretty fast for a genin, but I'm not a jounin for nothing, he declared as he jumped into the air and fired a large fireball at Naruko and her clones. Naruko and Hinata were thrown out of the circle by the clones just before the fireball engulfed them. Okay, Hinata, I will attack him directly while you stay back. When he is distracted, disable him, Naruko shouted as she charged at the ninja again. Hinata watched in awe as Naruko closed the distance faster than before and engaged the ninja. She waited for the opening Naruko would create, but the ninja wasn't a jounin for nothing. He skillfully dodged Naruko's attacks, making her frustrated. So, Naruko created 6 clones to join the assault. I'll give you this, kid, you are easily Chunin level. However, I am a B rank missing nin from Iwa. You are clearly outmatched by me, he declared as he sped up and struck Naruko in the gut with a knee, spinning and kicking over to where Hinata was. He then destroyed all of the clones. Too easy. What? The ninja exclaimed as the body puffed into smoke. Surprise, yelled Naruko as she came from above and struck the jounin with a powerful heel kick. However, luck wasn't on her side as the figure turned into a destroyed log. Damn! Naruko cursed as she dodged a few fireballs. She quickly shifted into a defensive stance as the ninja reappeared. Naruko landed 1 hit out of every 3. Her speed still wasn't enough to keep up with the jounin. The ninja delivered a hard knee to her gut, sending her flying into one of the tents. Kid has some skill. The ninja began, but was interrupted as Hinata delivered a strike to his extended arm. I won't let you hurt Naruko, she declared as she pressed the advantage, trying to disable the ninja before he regained control of his arm. Stupid girl, he yelled as he dodged another strike and kicked her feet out from beneath her, punching her with his good arm, sending her to the ground. Hinata slowly rose and got into her stance. Though her body was bruised, she was still determined to fight. At that moment, Naruko joined her side once more. Good job, Hinata. His arm is disabled now, Naruko said with a smirk, forming the ram hand seal. Doesn't matter, kid. I'm still strong enough to beat you at your current level. The ninja taunted. Maybe, but not now. Release, Naruko shouted as she removed her chakra weights. Here I come, Naruko yelled as she vanished. What? The ninja exclaimed before he was punched in the gut. As he bent over, A knee hit him in the stomach, sending him flying upwards. There, he was met with a clone that delivered a hammer blow to his face. Naruko appeared by Hinata, rolling her shoulders. Damn, I have to train more without my weights on. It hurts my body too much to move at those speeds, she panted out. Damn you, kid. The man shouted as he slowly stood up, his head bleeding and clothes torn, but he was still able to continue. Damn. There's no way I can catch him by surprise again like that. It's time to bring out my knives, he thought. Bring it, Naruko shouted as she rolled up her sleeve, revealing her tattoo. Meet my shadows. Naruko called out, obscured by a puff of smoke. Now, Naruko stood holding twin trench knives with crescent moon designs. Hinata could tell they were special, noticing the chakra running through them, but the ninja just laughed. Your blades won't help you now. I'm going all out against you kids. The ninja roared. Cage Tamashiincho, Naruko yelled as two clones grew from her shadow created by Inferuno's fire. Let's go, Hinata, Naruko yelled as the four charged at the ninja. Katen, fists of malice. The ninja shouted, as his fists were covered in fire. Naruko's shadows reached the ninja first, engaging him with their blades, but the fire from the fists somehow blocked the knives. The fire is so dense that it can block anything, he yelled as he slammed a fist into one of the shadows. It flew backward with a large burn on its body. Naruko joined in with the shadow, dodging his attacks, landing a good cut across his leg. The ninja struggled to land a hit as Naruko and her shadow were able to see him from two different angles, defending perfectly while attacking. Then, Hinata joined the fray from behind. The ninja dodged, but her strike found its mark on Naruko's exposed shoulder. With Naruko wide open, she was unable to dodge the blow. She was sent flying across the clearing, slowly trying to rise. Due to her momentary loss of concentration, her shadow paused, but that was all it took for it to be destroyed by a fiery fist through its chest. Naruko got up, charging the ninja, fully intent on helping her friend. Hinata was unable to do anything but dodge the fiery fists. Each swing brought the ninja closer to hitting her. At that moment, she tripped over a rock and watched the fiery fist head straight for her chest. She closed her eyes, preparing for the worst. At least I went down trying to protect Naruko, she thought. However, she felt nothing hit her. A grunt, a scream of rage, and a splash of warm liquid on her face caused her to open her eyes. She saw the ninja holding what used to be his arm. Naruko was 20 meters away, clutching her gut. Her clothes were burned, and the smell of cooked meat filled the air. Hinata almost gagged when she realized it was Naruko's scent. Naruko must have taken the blow for her and dealt a crippling blow to their opponent. She couldn't believe it, Naruko took that blow for her. You bastard! You cut off my arm. I'm going to destroy you, he yelled, charging at Naruko, who was barely on her knees, staring at him. Naruko's shadows tried to stop him, but he destroyed them with his last burning arm. They both crumbled and merged with the ground. Hinata watched as Naruko drove both blades into the ground, preparing for the next move. The ninja got closer. This ends now. The ninja yelled, cocking his last arm back to finish the fight. However, his arm was stopped mid-swing. He looked back to see a black tendril wrapped around his arm. Then he felt the tendrils start to cover his entire body. He struggled in vain to break free from the growing shadow. What did you do? He yelled as he was dragged to the ground, into the dark pit of nothingness. Naruko looked up, meeting the ninja's eyes, and smiled. This is my cage Seifuku. It will drain all the chakra and life from your body once you are fully covered. It's already started to drain your chakra, she explained calmly. No. I won't die like this, Inferuno shouted as he struggled even harder, but it was too late. The shadow consumed him entirely. After a few seconds, Naruko finally released the jutsu. What remained of Inferuno was a pale body, nothing but skin and bones. Hinata ran over to Naruko. Naruko, are you all right? She asked with concern. Yeah, my body heals burns quickly. But I don't think I'll be training for the next few days, Naruko said as Hinata turned her over to check her wounds. What are you doing, Hinata? Naruko asked, surprised. I'm looking at the burn. Now don't move until I say so. Hinata ordered, and Naruko looked at her with a confused yet proud expression. Hinata took out ointment and spread it across Naruko's exposed chest. Immediately, Naruko felt the soothing effect as the pain subsided. There. Now let's wrap that up, Hinata exclaimed, carefully wrapping up Naruko's side. Thanks, Hinata. Think you could help me up now? Naruko asked, and Hinata helped her to her feet. Thank you, Naruko, for saving me," Hinata said quietly. "It was no problem, Hinata. I'd do that for any of my precious people," Naruko responded cheerfully, causing Hinata to blush and smile softly. "Do you know where the others are?" Naruko asked. "Sakura and Shino are on their way here. Sasuke and Kiba are with Kurenai and Kakashi. They'll be here soon. They had to defeat other ninjas," Hinata explained. "I'm glad they're okay." "Hey, we just beat a Jounin, Hinata. We're going to get so much money for this," Naruko exclaimed. "But don't we need proof that they're dead?" Hinata asked. "That's why I took his hand when I cut it off," Naruko replied, pulling out Inferuno's severed hand. "That's disgusting," Hinata exclaimed. "Yes, but I can buy new clothes with this." "Ha ha ha," Naruko laughed. "You haven't stuttered for a while, Hinata," Naruko remarked. "I know. I guess after something like that, there's no reason to be scared anymore." "Thank you, Naruko. You gave me so much courage today," Hinata said with a small smile, her cheeks turning slightly red. "Hey, you know your voice is cute when you don't stutter, right?" Naruko teased, causing Hinata to blush even more. Thank you, Naruko," Hinata stuttered, flustered. "Ah, and you were doing so well too," Naruko said cheerfully as Hinata tried to hide her red cheeks. "Hinata! Naruko!" They heard someone yell. Suddenly, Kurenai appeared in front of them, having to dodge two kunai thrown by the pair. "I'm sorry, sensei," Hinata exclaimed, shocked that she had just thrown a kunai at Kurenai. "Who cares about that? Are you two alright? Kiba, Sasuke, and Sakura have a few injuries. Shino didn't get hurt, but they weren't fighting a Jounin," Kurenai exclaimed as she checked both of them over. "It's okay, I have a few scratches and bruises, but Naruko got caught by a fist of fire. It burned her pretty badly, but it's already healing. I applied my ointment before bandaging it," Hinata explained. "What happened to the Jounin?" Kurenai asked. "I defeated her, though it was by luck. You should have seen Hinata. She was amazing. If it wasn't for her, we would have been dead," Naruko exclaimed. "Congrats, Hinata. You two did great. I'll wait for the full story when we meet up with the others," Kurenai said as they started walking back, with Hinata still supporting Naruko. "Hinata, do you think you could not mention my trench knives? I don't want Sasuke to know about them unless he has to," Naruko asked. "Of course, Naruko. I don't even like Sasuke too much. He's too mean," Hinata said, causing Naruko to smile. "Thanks, Hinata. You're the best," Naruko said as they entered the clearing where the others were. "Well, let's head to your house and ask him," said Naruko. "Okay, but I'm not sure if he'll agree," Hinata responded as she led the way, Naruko following her. She had a blush on her cheeks, enjoying the company of Naruko. "I don't understand why he wouldn't. You just defeated a Jounin-level ninja as a genin. What father wouldn't be proud of that?" Naruko asked as Hinata gathered some courage from her words. They soon arrived at the Hyuga compound and were let in by the guards upon recognizing Hinata. They walked through the building until they reached a small structure. "This is father's study. You have to take your shoes off before entering, Naruko," Hinata instructed, and Naruko complied, knowing how important it was to show respect in the Hyuga clan. Hinata knocked on the door, waiting for her father to give them permission to enter. After a few minutes, they heard his voice calling them in, so they stepped inside. Hiashi Hyuga, the head of one of the most respected clans in Konoha, stood tall and proud. When his daughter entered with Naruko, the Jinchuriki of Konoha, he was a bit taken aback. They sat on the mats before Hyashi's desk, waiting for him to speak. Naruko felt a little uneasy under Hyashi's gaze, instinctively preparing for anything unexpected. Hyashi observed them silently for a few moments before speaking. The young girl was calm, and Naruko, though alert, was composed. "Hinata, why have you come here with Naruko?" he asked, his eyes revealing no emotion. "Father," Hinata began, surprising him by speaking so confidently without stuttering. "Naruko and I wanted to ask if you would come with us to the bounty station in Konoha so we can report the proof of a successful mission we completed. It may have been promoted to an A-rank mission," she explained slowly, carefully choosing her words. "Why was your mission elevated to an A rank?" Hyashi asked. "We encountered 4 missing nin alongside a bandit camp. Our original mission was to eliminate the bandits," Hinata continued. "What were their ranks?" Hyashi inquired. "There were 2 Chunin and 2 Jounin. Naruko and I were able to defeat a Jounin named Inferuno, a B-rank missing nin from Iwa who was a master of fire jutsu," Hinata explained, showing the bandages on Naruko as confirmation. Hyashi's eyes widened slightly, but the two young nin didn't miss the reaction. He was impressed that they had managed to defeat such a powerful foe. A small smile tugged at the corner of his mouth. Very well, Hinata. We will go to the bounty office now. You have made the Hyuga clan proud, Hyashi said, his voice filled with approval. Hinata's eyes brightened at his words. Hinata had never been complimented by her father in such a way, and it made her feel proud. She smiled at Naruko, grateful for her support. I would like to hear the details of the battle as we head to the bounty office, Hyashi added as they left the building, with Naruko recounting the battle, though she kept some details, like the shadow manipulation, to herself. The next day, Naruko was training at Training Ground 7, using her weights while sticking rocks to her body and dodging wind jutsu and kunai thrown by her clones. Is that all you've got? Naruko called out, jumping into the middle of her clones. She used too much chakra, causing the rocks to shoot off and strike each of the clones, creating a huge cloud of smoke. Naruko sat down beside the memorial stone, looking at the names engraved on it until her eyes landed on the name of Minato Namikaze. Why did you choose me as the Jinchuriki for the Kyuubi? Naruko asked herself softly. Did you know my parents and ask them to use me? There must have been a reason. Was it because I have blonde hair like yours? She wondered, I'm your legacy, but I don't even know why you chose me. Why me, out of the other children born on that day in the village? Naruko thought about what she knew of the fourth Hokage, his wind affinity, his unmatched strength as the Hokage, and the many enemies who would have wanted him and his children dead. She realized he never asked anyone to do something he wouldn't do himself. No, Naruko whispered, the pieces falling into place. The lack of a birth record was a cover-up to protect her from Minato's enemies. Kakashi's words about her being the fourth's legacy now made perfect sense. She was the fourth's daughter, not just a Jinchuriki. Tears welled up in her eyes as she pieced the truth together. I need to talk to someone. I just need to talk to them. She thought desperately, jumping from Training Ground 7 just as Sakura and Sasuke arrived. I wonder where that loser is going? Sakura commented. Sasuke grunted, while Sakura gushed about how cool he was. Naruko landed on the Hokage monument and gazed out at the village her father had sacrificed so much to protect. Why did it have to be me? She whispered to herself when she suddenly heard footsteps behind her. He didn't have a choice, Naruko. It was either you or the village, and sadly, he chose the village. He loved you very much, and cried when he made that decision, came Kakashi's voice. It doesn't matter, sensei. I'm going to make him proud, but I can't help feeling like everything is a lie, Naruko replied. The reason you weren't told the truth sooner is because we didn't think you were ready. If you had known, you might have told someone, and it could have put you in danger, Kakashi explained. Who was my mother, Kakashi-sensei? Naruko asked, her voice trembling slightly. Her name was Kushina Uzumaki. She was a formidable woman, known for her strength and her fiery spirit. Sadly, she passed away while giving birth to you. But you should wipe those tears now and get ready. We'll be participating in the Chunin exams, Kakashi said, placing a reassuring hand on Naruko's shoulder. I will make them proud as their daughter, sensei, Naruko vowed before they vanished. 3 days later, as the Chunin exams approached, Naruko was walking through the streets of Konoha, reflecting on her training. She had sharpened her skills and learned 2 new jutsu, ready for the exams. Turning a corner, she spotted Hinata ahead and couldn't resist sneaking up on her. Hey, Hinata-chan. She called out playfully. Hinata jumped in surprise and instinctively slapped the person behind her, sending them flying into a wall. After a brief moment, she realized it was Naruko. Naruko-chan, Hinata exclaimed, rushing over to help her up. Ow. Note to self, don't sneak up on you again, Hinata-chan, Naruko laughed. I'm so sorry, Naruko-chan. I didn't mean to do that. You just surprised me. Hinata apologized profusely. It's okay, Hinata-chan. It was my fault for sneaking up on you, Naruko laughed. Hey, wanna go for a walk? We haven't had a chance to catch up since that time we celebrated our mission at Akimichi's barbecue, Naruko suggested. Hinata's cheeks turned pink at the invitation. She nodded, and the two of them set off together. They chatted about their training, the upcoming Chunin exams, and other light topics until Naruko noticed something. Konohamaru, that is the worst disguise I've ever seen. Boxes have rounded sides, not corners, she yelled, pointing at a cardboard box. A puff of smoke erupted, revealing Konohamaru, Moegi, and Udon in a goofy pose. Ha ha. I knew you'd see through it, boss, Konohamaru laughed. Boss. Will you play ninja with us? He asked eagerly. Ninja playing ninja? How ridiculous is that, Naruko? Sakura remarked, walking up between Naruko and Hinata. Hey, boss. Who's this? Your girlfriend? Konohamaru teased. Hell no. Not in 1,000 years. Naruko responded quickly, as Hinata blushed a little. Well, I'd say go for the Hyuga girl. She's got some curves, unlike Pinky there, Konohamaru added, which caused Sakura to get angry and Hinata to turn even redder. Konohamaru. Run, Naruko yelled, as Sakura charged toward him in anger. They chased him around a corner, only to find him being held up by a boy in a black suit and a girl standing nearby. Kankuro, put him down. We don't have time for this, the girl said coolly. Don't worry, Tamari, I'm just teaching him a lesson for running into me, Kankuro replied, raising his arm. I wouldn't do that if I were you, Naruko said, drawing her kunai. Hinata got into a ready stance, while Sakura stood confused. What's a kid like you going to do about it? Kankuro mocked. Just then, a clone of Naruko appeared behind Kankuro, pressing a kunai to his neck. Stick around, and I'll show you, the clone whispered, causing Kankuro to quickly drop Konohamaru and step back. The clone disappeared in a puff of smoke, and Naruko stood tall. Don't cause trouble, Kankuro, Naruko warned him, though the boy didn't seem to care. Tamari, unimpressed, shot a glance at her younger brother, Gaara, who appeared from behind them in a cloud of sand. Enough, Kankuro. You're pathetic, Gaara said, his tone icy. Kankuro immediately fell silent. Sasuke. Come down from that tree, you look ridiculous, Naruko yelled, noticing Sasuke perched above them. Sasuke jumped down and glared at Naruko. Let me handle this, Dobi. What are you doing here in Konoha? Sasuke asked arrogantly. They're here for the Chunin exams, Sasuke. Come on, we're all taking the exams. Naruko responded. Correct, Gaara confirmed. Tamari, Kankuro, Baki-sensei wants to see us right away. Naruko and Hinata began to leave, but Gaara called after them. Wait. What is your name? He asked. Why would you care what her name is? She was the last in her class at the academy, while I was the rookie of the year. My name is Sasuke Uchiha, stated Sasuke with a sense of pride, while Naruko made exaggerated gagging sounds, much to Hinata's amusement. Not you. The one with blonde hair. Ordered Gaara, causing Naruko to look up and smile at him. The name's Naruko Uzumaki, nice to meet you, Gaara, Naruko said cheerfully. You're strong. My mother will enjoy spilling your blood, Gaara remarked with an eerie grin, before leaving with her siblings. What a nice young man, Naruko exclaimed as she turned to walk away with Hinata. Everyone around them stared, seemingly puzzled by her attitude. Once they were out of earshot, Naruko looked at Hinata. Promise me that if you have to fight him in the exams, you'll back out, Hinata? She asked seriously. Why? What's wrong, Naruko? Hinata asked, her voice filled with concern. Something about him unsettles me. Please stay away from him, Naruko asked gently, and Hinata nodded, trusting her judgment. Good. Now let's finish our walk, Naruko said as she grabbed Hinata's hand and excitedly led her to the next part of their journey, chatting about all the secret passages she knew. Later, Naruko, Sasuke, and Sakura were walking into the ninja academy. The exams were being held on the 3rd floor, but there were 15 students trying to get into a classroom on the 2nd floor. Before she could do anything, Sasuke stepped forward and pointed out the obvious to the others. Seriously? Didn't you know this is likely a test to weed out those who aren't good enough to pass? Naruko commented as the students guarding the door charged their team. A boy that Naruko had seen a few times during training intercepted the kick with ease. He's faster than me without my weights, thought Naruko. It is not wise to fight in such a confined space, the boy stated. He had black hair cut into a bowl style, big eyebrows, and wore green spandex. Lee, wasn't it your idea not to reveal our skills too early? Asked a girl, who looked a bit like a panda in Naruko's opinion. Their last teammate was a Hyuga, but unlike Hinata, his eyes weren't filled with kindness. His gaze was cold, with a hint of anger. He reminds me of Sasuke, but with a much better grip on his emotions, Naruko thought. Come on, let's head to the 3rd floor before we draw any more attention, Naruko suggested, leading the group toward another staircase. However, they didn't get far before they were confronted by the black-haired genin with the big eyebrows. Hey, Are you by any chance Sasuke Uchiha? The genin asked. Yes, I am. Why do you want to know? Sasuke replied. My name's Rock Lee, and I want to challenge you to a friendly spar. Lee announced enthusiastically. Sure, I don't have much better to do. But you won't beat me, Sasuke replied as they entered the gym. Just like a typical genius, Lee said. My dream is to defeat someone like you. I'll prove that hard work is the greatest strength of a shinobi. Sasuke, we don't have time for this, Naruko said, trying to reason with him. We need to focus on the exams. But Sasuke simply scoffed, it won't take long for me to beat this loser, as he got into his stance. Fool. Lee is faster than me. You don't stand a chance. Thought Naruko, getting ready to step in before things went too far. Her worries weren't unfounded. It didn't take long before Lee broke through Sasuke's defense. If the match had continued, Sasuke would have been too injured to participate, and Team 7 would have been forced to quit before even starting. Thankfully, Guy intervened before things got worse. Although, Naruko couldn't help but wish he hadn't, those terrifying illusions the two spandex-wearing ninja used left a lasting impression on her mind. Once they were outside, Naruko decided to confront Sasuke about his actions. Sasuke, that was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. You're lucky we're still allowed to participate. If you'd gotten hurt, I would have been forced to carry on without you. Shut up, Baka, shouted Sakura, before Naruko stepped in front of her, stopping her. Shut your mouth, Sakura, Naruko growled, her voice low and serious. Humph, that kid got lucky. Next time, I won't lose, Sasuke muttered arrogantly. Next time, you might regret it, Sasuke, Naruko said in a threatening tone, pushing past him as she made her way upstairs. Sasuke, although irritated, resisted the urge to cause more trouble. Naruko is useful for now, but once I become Chunin, I'll get rid of weaklings like her, Sasuke thought to himself, though he kept it hidden. When they reached the room, Kakashi was waiting for them. So, I see you decided to take the exams, he said. Be cautious, people underestimate their opponents and get hurt. Don't make that mistake, and you'll all do fine. As they entered, they were met with glares from other genin from various villages, looking intimidating. Naruko, however, just wanted to laugh at their serious faces. Hey, looks like Team 7 is taking the exams too. Kiba called out. Duh. I told you that 4 days ago. Naruko responded, shaking Kiba's hand. Some of us forget things that aren't important, Kiba replied with a grin. Did you learn that new technique you were working on, Hinata? Naruko asked with a smile. Hinata returned the smile. Not yet, Naruko, but I'm close. That's great. You'll do it soon, I'm sure. Naruko encouraged her, but then they were interrupted. Troublesome. Looks like all the rookie teams are taking the exam this year, Shikamaru commented as he walked over, followed by Kuji and Ino. Hey, Ino pig, what's with the sour face? Mad I'm on a team with Sasuke? Sakura taunted. No, I'm just unsure about these exams, Ino answered quietly. Ha! I have Sasuke on my team, so I'll be fine, Sakura said smugly. Naruko rolled her eyes. I wish I had a new team, she muttered as she grabbed Kuji and Shino by the shoulders. What do you say, boys? Team 20, the massive Bug Fox team? The two of them just stared at her, clearly confused. Fine. I can't take these two anymore, Naruko said, as most of the rookies, except Sasuke and Sakura, smiled at her. You should all learn to keep it down, a voice behind them said. They turned to find a white-haired genin wearing glasses, who looked friendly but suspicious. What do you mean? Sakura asked. It means that we're drawing too much attention. You should all be quiet, Naruko replied, noticing the many genin glaring at them. Well, I've taken these exams 6 times, the genin continued, and I've gathered lots of information about the other genin. If you want, I can share what I know. Who are you? Naruko asked, raising an eyebrow. My name is Kabuto Yakashi, the genin introduced himself. I have all my info stored in these cards, collected from the bingo books, observation, chakra sources, and even fan clubs. Fan clubs? Naruko asked, confused. Yes, fangirls often gather detailed information about their interests. That's why this information can be surprisingly accurate, Kabuto explained. I guess that makes sense, Naruko said, nodding. So, do any of you want information on specific genin? Kabuto asked. You have information on genin from every village? Sasuke asked, intrigued. Yes, I do. From Konoha to the new Oto village, Kabuto explained. I want information on Gaara of the desert, Rock Lee, and Naruko Uzumaki, Sasuke demanded. Ah, you know their names? Kabuto said, pulling a card from his deck and channeling chakra into it. Gaara of the sand. It says his taijutsu and genjutsu are low. But his ninjutsu involves controlling sand, similar to the third Kazekage, Kabuto read aloud. He's completed 24D rank, 13C rank, and 4B rank missions. He's never been injured on any of his missions. Never been injured? I'll need to be at my best to face him, thought Naruko, eyeing Gaara carefully. Rock Lee has no ninjutsu or genjutsu skills. However, his taijutsu is exceptional. He's completed 59D rank, 28C rank, and 2B rank missions, Kabuto continued. That didn't help me at all, Sasuke muttered, frustrated. Now, Naruko Uzumaki, also known as the Shadow of Konoha, Kabuto said, surprising everyone. Wait, I'm in the bingo books? Naruko asked, astonished. Why is she called the Shadow of Konoha? Shikamaru asked, intrigued. Well, it says she was involved in the defeat of a B-rank missing nin named Infuruno. Her abilities are similar to those of the Nara clan, but with some differences, Kabuto explained. Shadow techniques. Like my clan, but different. I'll have to ask my father about this, thought Shikamaru. She's wanted alive in Iwagakure for questioning. Her taijutsu is at mid-chonin level, her ninjutsu is mid to high chonin, and she has no genjutsu skills, Kabuto added. So that's what it means to be the Shadow of Konoha, Naruko thought, feeling a mixture of pride and unease. Just then, 3 figures rushed toward them. Kabuto ducked under a punch as the 3 new arrivals took an aggressive stance. Put this in your cards. The team from Oto is going to win this exam, declared the apparent leader of the group. A kunai landed between them, and a voice shouted, there will be no fighting unless told otherwise. Now, take your seats. Welcome to the Chonin exams. The exams had officially begun. Dear YouTube family. That's all for now. I hope you enjoyed the content. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to my channel for more awesome updates. Thank you for your support. Anime Dreams.